considered what your legacy will be, one question I hope you will ask yourself is, am I living a life that it always reflects what I truly hold near and dear? Am I living with integrity and courage and bravery and honor and truthfulness? Well, these noble Americans we honor this evening leave us a legacy from the greatest to the latest generation. They are our sons and daughters. They are our fathers and mothers and brothers and sisters, our uncles and aunts and grandparents. They are our family and our friends. They left home to do the work of patriots, and they returned to live lives quietly with dignity. They have left a legacy of service and sent a clear message to all who wear the uniform. To all our veterans and active duty armed forces here today, and those watching, thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifices. Thank you for standing up when your nation needed you the most. Tonight we pay tribute to 7 area veterans who have been nominated by their family, friends, or peers for outstanding service to their nation, their state, and communities. So this is a day that we can and should talk about heroism and sacrifice. And if you flip through the nation's history books, you will be inundated with accounts of bravery that still resonate deep within us decades later. We are humbled by the tremendous courage shown by our brave soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guard. There is no doubt that our veterans have paved the way for our military's reputation as the finest fighting forces in the world, both in strength and character. That's why it is important, in fact imperative, that we remember them now.
Wow, what a great ceremony so far. Thank you so much to the Woodring Wall of Honor for putting this on every year. And it's my honor to introduce 2 Army Legacy veterans tonight. And I'm going to start with Mrs. Dorothy Edwardson. I'll get these out so I can read it better. Because you need to know a little bit about Mrs. Edwardson. In World War II saw a severe shortage of trained nurses, which threatened the United States' ability to meet medical demands. In response, Congress on July 1st, 1943 established the Cadet Nurse Corps, which was an integrated uniformed service of the Public Health Administration. The women of the Corps would go on to serve in the military, the Veterans Administration, private hospitals, and public health agencies until the program ended on December 31st, 1948. More than 59,000 American nurses served in the Army Nurse Corps during World War II. Nurses worked closer to the front lines than they ever had before. They served under fire in field hospitals and evacuation hospitals, on hospital trains and hospital ships, and as flight nurses on medical transport planes. The skill and education of these nurses contributed to the extremely low post-injury mortality rate among American military forces in every theater of the war. As caretakers of the wounded soldiers fresh from the battlefield, wartime nurses dealt with every sort of injury imaginable, from gaping chest wounds and massive hemorrhages to amputations and severe burns. One of the most difficult aspects of their job, though, was helping soldiers handle the psychological damage brought on by brutal combat experiences. Brave World War II nurses, doctors, and medics remained strong in the face of death. They worked in overcrowded makeshift hospitals under less than sanitary conditions, often without adequate supplies, and sometimes even without running water and electricity. They tended to hundreds of patients each day, working on their feet with little or no rest, as many as 84 hours in a week. The nurses treated the troops with equal measures of compassion, courage, and humor. They aided their patients by building morale and helped to heal their overburdened minds as well as their broken bodies. Many soldiers were inspired by the example of their nurses who cared for them. If the nurses could take the daily horrors of war, then the troops felt they could do the same. The Army nurse started out as a Rosie the Riveter as she worked her way through nursing school. Joining the nursing corps was an opportunity for her to spread her wings, or spread their wings, and she found herself surrounded by young men. These were only a handful of nurses compared with the thousands of fighting troops. For the next few months, working flat out in the military hospital, she witnessed terrible injuries and scenes of devastation that have stayed with her for a lifetime. But as she tended to her patients, like many women, Dorothy found romance during the war. She fell in love and married her husband, a wounded warrior whom she nursed back to health. She remained in the nursing field throughout both their careers, retired with full benefits after Congress finally passed a bill in 2017 to declare the cadet nurses as veterans. This spunky caregiver still lives independently at Golden Oaks Retirement Community and enjoys playing cards with her friends every day. May I present to you Dorothy Edwardson, our Army Legacy Veteran of the Year. Well, I have the pleasure of one more Army Legacy veteran tonight, Mr. Dwight Jeter. We often hear of the brotherhood of service, the love that warriors have to men they never knew before they served together. The bond these men have is unbreakable, but today we talk about another brotherhood of service. A story of 3 World War II and Korea veterans who served together yet apart, and the trio shared a very special bond. They were not linked together by joint service, they were actually siblings. And there was a wonderful story in the newspaper just a few days ago about that. Speaking for my brother, Stage 1, let me say up front that we're not heroes. The real heroes are those that gave their lives during the war. We're just 3 guys that outlived everybody else, and we were just part of the unified national effort to restore peace and keep our country safe. So we're not heroes. In 2020, fewer than 300,000 of the 16 million Americans who served in World War II are still living today, according to U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs statistics. We are privileged to honor 3 of those heroes today, along with our remaining previous honorees. During World War II, our military leaders used the most up-to-date intelligence against a strong and lethal opponent. For the U.S. Army fighting the Japanese in World War II, good intel could avert a catastrophe and save thousands of lives. Given the nature of the war, it would be a dangerous job. The Army sought volunteers who would go deep behind enemy lines to get troop strengths, numbers, and unit types, as well as information about their locations and destinations and capabilities. To be an Army Scout in World War II required problem-solving skills and quick thinking. It demanded physical strength, not necessarily athleticism, but the ability to withstand the rigors of long marches and missions. And of course, it required observation skills, land navigation, and cover and concealment. Combat veteran volunteers for the course were given intensive training in weapons, communications, intelligence reporting, physical condition, amphibious reconnaissance skills, and extended patrolling techniques. Some soldiers also learned to infiltrate enemy territory, employing a variety of means by just experiencing war tactics. This young 18-year-old entered the service right upon graduation. One brother, Horace, was already in the European theater. Another brother, David, was in Korea. All of these brothers were successful in their military careers, earning a Silver Star nomination and 6 Bronze Stars between them. Our nominee earning 4 of those himself. This soldier could be considered part of the early day Special Forces team serving in various war zones across the Pacific and in the Korean War as a very decorated scout. This Enid native is humble in his service, only accepting this award for his brotherhood of warriors, both his siblings and fellow service members. He spent a career in Ponca City working at the Conoco plant, retiring in his hometown. And yes, sir, you are a hero. And so tonight we're going to present you, Mr. Dwight Jeter, with the U.S. Army Legacy Veteran of the Year Award. So if you come on up, please.
Blaine Johns will now present the Navy Veterans Award.
Well, I'm not a veteran. I'm a United States Navy brat. That was the closest I could get, and I normally do never take the stage. But tonight, this award is very, very special to me. The USS Grapple was put into place in World War II as a salvage ship. Her vital work in Guam included pulling stranded landing craft off the beaches and repairing damaged ships, usually within range of enemy fire. Well, the ship continued her service and was used in some of the war's bloodiest and most decisive naval battles, including the Philippines and Saipan. She was used in firefighting efforts to save the USS Randolph aircraft carrier, which resulted in the Grapple receiving the Navy unit citation. And she ended up in San Diego, California, and was decommissioned into the reserve. With an outbreak of the Korean War, the Grapple recommissioned, and after training exercises, she sailed to Pearl Harbor, and from there sailed to Korea and joined Allied units in the United Nations fleet. During her tenure in Korea, she was temporarily converted into a floating laboratory as Navy doctors frantically tried to stem a typhoid epidemic sweeping the peninsula. Later, the Grapple began the flycatcher duty off the Korean coast, patrolling at night to thwart enemy sampans laying mines in the shallows. I share the history of the Grapple because it involves a local veteran. A Navy sailor came into my office 21 years ago with a question. Could someone that was not from this area be placed on the wall? And I asked him to tell me about why he wanted to give this man an honor. He was stationed on the Grapple while in duty in Korea, and his mission was very secretive. And the team was ambushed, and one of his teammates took a bullet that was meant for him. With severe lung issues, and broken wrist, this Legacy Award winner worked fearlessly to save his friend and find a way back to safety. Trying to avoid enemy engagement, this sailor continued to seek assistance while tending to his neighbor, and he was finally aided in his escape by a Korean fisherman who helped the pair to safety. But unfortunately, that team member didn't survive. No one would know his story. No one would remember him. And could he place his name on our living walls? So I told him absolutely. So we did just that, and he walked away. And on the day of the dedication of the park 20 years ago, this past May, I saw a beautiful floral tribute on the fence in front of the airport. And it's been placed there each year by our award winner. And I've seen it there for the last 20 years as Memorial Day comes to honor Pat Patterson, United States Navy. So in 2010, we began a 5K half marathon to run in honor of the fallen. Again, I saw our humble Navy veteran enter the race and walk with his family to honor the fallen. Each runner in our race receives a set of personalized dog tags, and he requested the name of Pat Patterson. He returned and walked with his wife and daughters, honoring Pat yearly. And 5 years ago, he came, registered for the race, and then confided in me that he was diagnosed with cancer. Despite his terminal illness, he walked the race again. The next year, he wasn't doing well, and he was pushed by his family in a wheelchair. Determined to honor the fallen, he registered for the race again. And tethered to an oxygen machine, he walked the race at 5 a.m. in the morning because he had a chemo treatment in Oklahoma City during the normal race time. And while he was taking treatments, he was visiting area veterans' retirement homes and hospitals, passing out gold dollars with special notes of appreciation to all the veterans that he encountered. And he returned again to walk with his daughters, again tethered to that oxygen machine. This year, it was a difficult year due to the pandemic, and we had to cancel our 20th anniversary Memorial Day weekend of events and conduct a virtual race. Here came our Navy veteran, who picked up his packet and walked the race regardless, with his beloved wife Mary watching from the car, and one daughter left behind to care for her. He again walked to honor his brothers in arms. And when he returned, he informed me that this would be his last race, that he didn't expect to live and be on this earth in May of 2021. So he's a beloved Red Dirt Run of Honor participant, and with many of his fellow runners watching tonight and listening to support him. He walks every year with the Gold Star family members who return to Enid each year to honor their sons. His daughter is going to accept the award in place of his father. Unfortunately, for the last 8 months, they've not been able to have any contact with him or their mother, only through a glass storm door. And so Michelle is here as Jay watches as we stream live. But tonight, I know he's standing up at home proudly as he watches Michelle accept this honor. It's a story of honor, of dedication, of commitment, and love of a brother. And I forgot to mention one thing. He walks to honor the fallen, and he's legally blind, losing his sight years ago from the result of bomb blast he received while in active duty service. So may I present to you Jay Chambers, our Navy Veteran of the Year. Michelle, please accept the award in his behalf.
Marine Corps Legacy winner.
Thank you, Senator. And, truly an honor and privilege to be with you all tonight. And on behalf of Senator Jim Inhofe, who is, your date's in there, it's okay, who is also the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, I want to express his gratitude and appreciation for all of our servicemen and women, past and present. Again, it's truly an honor to be here with you guys tonight. I get to present the Marine Corps Legacy Award recipient. Let me tell you a little bit about this gentleman. World War II Battle of Guadalcanal was the first major offensive and a decisive victory for the Allies in the Pacific theater. With Japanese troops stationed in a section of the Solomon Islands, U.S. Marines launched a surprise attack in August of 1942 and took control of an air base which was under construction. The American forces of the United States 2nd Marine Divisions landed on the southern Solomon Islands with the objective of denying their use by the Japanese to threaten the supply and communication routes between the United States, Australia, and New Zealand. The Marines overwhelmed the outnumbered Japanese defenders and captured the neighboring islands as well as the nearby almost completed airfield which was being built by the Japanese on Guadalcanal. This airfield was vitally important to the mission as it was home to the B-17s from the 42nd Bomb Squadron. After training in San Diego, this Marine embarked on the USS President Adams from New Zealand and landed on the shores of Guadalcanal. After 4 months of hard combat in and around Guadalcanal and dealing with jungle diseases that took a heavy toll of troops on both sides, Allied forces managed to halt the Japanese advance and took control of the island. This Marine, after several months of non-stop combat, returned to New Zealand to rest and recuperate from the malaria and other illnesses that had weakened him through the fighting in the Solomons. He embarked again on board the USS Harris, arriving into one of the first American offensives in the critical Central Pacific region, the Battle of Tarawa. It was the first time the U.S. had faced serious Japanese opposition to an amphibious landing. The Japanese had been settling in for about a year. More than 4,500 Japanese defenders were well supplied and well prepared, and they fought almost to the last man, and exacting a heavy toll on the U.S. Marine Corps. But they endured horrific conditions. The Marines faced fierce combat, but the Marines took the island in just 76 hours. Returning again to rest and recuperate, he was preparing for the invasion of Saipan but was taken to the hospital for treatment. While there, he was trying to give blood to his fellow men, but it was discovered that he had malaria about 25 different times, and the doctor simply said, if we give your blood to somebody, it'll kill him. He continued his service at Pearl Harbor as a jeep driver and a truck driver before returning to Camp Pendleton in San Diego, where he trained and prepared new recruits for combat duty. One day, this Marine decided to hitchhike to a local carnival for some fun and relaxation. It was March, and a man was driving by and picked him up. He and his niece were headed down the road to the hospital to pick up her sister that just had a baby. During the ride, the pair struck up a family friendship, and this brave Marine asked her to go along to the carnival with him. That was the start of their romance and constant teasing about picking up a Marine hitchhiker. It was love at first sight, and 3 months later, they were married to the love of his life, Luella. They were married 74 years, and he moved back here to Oklahoma, started a family, ran some cattle, and also worked in the oil field industry. They had 2 daughters and 4 sons. He recently turned 100 years old and was recognized by the Centurions of Oklahoma, his family, and his community for his service to our country. He has been an active member of American Legion Post 142 for many years. He also loves his weekly Monday morning coffee group, and when asked how he wanted to be remembered, he simply said, thankful for the good Lord watching over me. And if you all would join me in congratulating as I present our U.S. Marine Corps Legacy Award recipient, Mr. Bob Huff.
Congratulations, Bob. Well done. And Ryan, I apologize, but when you got two great senators, it's easy to get them mixed up. So. And Enid, great for the military, and anyway, I apologize for that. Okay, Colonel Timothy Danielson will now present the Air Force veteran.
Thank you so much, Senator. And I'd first like to thank you for the great national call. Thank you very much. Before I get started, I do want to recognize and thank everyone in attendance tonight. I know it's been a tough year with coronavirus, and I was just reading the flyer that was in before. It's very evident to me that we're going to go on and recognize the veterans. I think that's very important, particularly in such an environment and a community where there's a synergy between both Vance Air Force Base and the community. And I just really appreciate everyone taking the time to come out and recognize veterans both past and present. But tonight I'm honored to introduce an American hero, a U.S. Air Force hero. Elmer Bill Shaw was born in Carmel, Illinois in 1942. He commissioned in the Air Force in 1966 and reported right here at Vance Air Force Base for pilot training. After receiving his wings, he was assigned down the roadways at Clinton Sherman Air Force Base as a B-52 combat aircraft member. From 1968 to 1971, Captain Shaw spent 17 months in Guam, where he flew 205 combat missions and dropped more than 20,000 bombs in support of the ground forces of Vietnam. So just to put that in perspective, 205 combat missions in Vietnam is no small number. He earned the Distinguished Flying Cross on July 4th, 1968, for outstanding airmanship and skill while flying as a co-pilot on a highly critical mission in the face of perilous and hostile defenses. As you know, back in Vietnam, it was about bombers and fighters and the risks they undertook on a daily basis to support and defend this great nation. And it's really unrivaled. Bill separated from the regular Air Force in 1971 and went on to study law at the University of Tulsa. He continued to serve the Oklahoma Air National Guard at Tulsa and was admitted into the Oklahoma Bar Association in 1974. 2 years later, he returned to Enid to work for the law firm Mitchell & Clark. Bill's presence in this great community since then has been nothing short of exemplary, including serving on the board of the Hedges Regional Speech and Hearing Center, as a district chairman of the local Boy Scout Council, and as a volunteer in our daily bread. While living in Pond Creek, he served as mayor and volunteered as an EMT with the Pond Creek Fire Department. Finally, he served as a judge for the communities of Covington and Galena for 15 years. A family man, Bill and his wife Shirley faithfully attend and serve at Willowview United Methodist Church here in Enid. And I had the privilege of meeting both of them before here. We love the couple. He was a scoutmaster for his sons and coached Little League for all of his children. Now he supports his grandchildren in their academic and sporting activities. I'm truly honored and humbled to be here to present Elmer Bill Shaw. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure that I introduce him as the 2020 Legacy Award winner for the United States Air Force, Bill Elmer Shaw.
Congratulations to Bill Shaw for that outstanding award. This time, Mr. Mayor George Mannigan will come and give the Lifetime Legacy Veteran of the Year Award.
Thank you, Senator. Join the Navy, they said. He did. See the world, they said. He did. Sail the seas, they said. He did. This native Oklahoma boy has done some traveling. Since joining the Navy, he visited 5 of the 7 continents and sailed 5 of the 7 seas. He was at sea away from home for a total of over 5 years, made 74 different ports of call from Guatemala in the west to Pakistan in the east. He sailed north into the Arctic Circle and south around the Cape of Good Hope. He transited the Panama Canal twice, the Suez Canal 6 times, the Strait of Hormuz 10 times, the Straits of Gibraltar 11 times, and crossed the equator 8 times. From 1972, when he joined the Navy Reserve Officer Candidate Program, until 2001, when he retired as a Navy captain, this sailor experienced life. He served during the Vietnam War, the Cold War, the Persian Gulf Tanker War, and the global war on terrorism. He witnessed the Navy's racial struggles in the 1970s, the integration of women in the Navy in the 1980s, and don't ask, don't tell policy implementation in the 90s. His watch stations included the open flying bridge and steam engineering plant of Navy frigates and Combat Information Center of nuclear power cruiser, the command centers of Carrier Battle Group and the 2nd Fleet flagships, and a highly classified secure office in the Puzzle Palace, more commonly known as the Pentagon. He experienced combat during the largest surface and naval battles since World War II in the Persian Gulf in 1988, in which his ship destroyed an Iranian gas oil separation platform, sank an Iranian guided missile frigate, and destroyed an Iranian F-4 fighter. He commanded the anti-submarine fast frigate USS Elmer Montgomery FF-1082. Following his retirement from the Navy in 2001, he was appointed by the mayor of Chesapeake, Virginia, as the chairman of the city's Commission on Veterans Affairs and the Chesapeake Local Emergency Planning Committee. Since moving back to Enid area in 2003, he's been an active member of the community, participating in several volunteer and civic organizations, including the Enid Public School Board and the Advanced Development Authority and the Enid Park Board. He's also served as commander of the Northwest Oklahoma chapter of the Disabled American Veterans and commander of the Oklahoma State Disabled American Veterans. Of all these, he is most proud of his 14 years serving as the DAV Chapter Service Officer, assisting veterans and their families to obtain state and federal benefits they earned during their military service. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Captain Craig Vance, U.S. Navy retired, our Lifetime Achievement Legacy Veteran of the Year.
Congratulations, Craig Vance. County Blankenship will now present the Lifetime Legacy Special Achievement Award.
Would you like to change it up on your list?
More than 200 years ago, the Black Leggings, known as Tonkankah, was established as a warrior society when the Kiowa lived in the Great Plains. Its members' dress are a modern way of referring back to the ash blackened leggings that the Native Americans used as a decoration of identity. The legend regarding the blackened leggings is that society warriors, the bravest and the boldest, would return over and over again on the fire-blackened battlefields during acts of battle. Lances carried by the Black Leggings are decorated to reflect the warrior's military past. This ancient society was revived in 1957 by Gus Palmer Sr. and other Kiowa elders to help keep the old Kiowa traditions alive and to recognize and honor all Kiowa and Native American service personnel. Carrying on the legacy of his father is Lindrith Palmer, known as Tugger. He has been a member of the Kiowa Black Leggings Warrior Society for 53 years. Lindrith, commander of the Kiowa Black Leggings Warrior Society, and a member of the Kiowa tribe and of Choctaw descent, has spent nearly his entire life involved in veterans affairs. The society today functions much like that of old and is akin to veteran service organizations such as the VFW, the American Legion, and the Disabled American Veterans. As such, they are active in veterans affairs within the Kiowa tribe, nationally and throughout the state. A color guard was formed soon after the society was revived and continues to be called upon to participate in tribal, local, and statewide veteran and non-veteran ceremonies. They also hold an annual societal ceremony replete with traditional dress and songs at Indian City near Anadarko, Oklahoma. Lindrith is a U.S. Navy veteran who served as a flight deck crewman on the USS Constellation in the Gulf of Tonkin during the Vietnam War. In his youth, he was a world champion fancy war dancer and a professional entertainer at Six Flags over Texas. He later worked 7 years in the Indian Education Division of the Bureau of Indian Affairs, business manager of the Kiowa tribe, and executive director of the Kiowa and Wichita Housing Authorities. He holds a petroleum engineering degree from the University of Oklahoma. The Color Guard has participated in numerous activities across Oklahoma, including more than 20 years with the Woodring Wall of Honor for Veterans Day and Memorial Day ceremonies. The Color Guard has traveled on several occasions at the request of the Department of the Interior, Bureau of Indian Affairs in Washington, D.C., to celebrate the National American Indian Heritage Month. They have also been instrumental in honoring the tribe's legacy with exhibits in various museums, both statewide and abroad. We are privileged to have one of those exhibits at the M.L. Becker Education Center at the Woodring Wall of Honor in Veterans Day Park. We are honored to introduce Lynette Tugger Palmer as a Lifetime Achievement Legacy Award recipient. And before you all clap, 1 second, you've been noticing, I've handed out a citation to all of our recipients on behalf of the legislature and Governor Stitt. I just wanted to take a minute to read what was on there so you all know. Whereas the destiny of our country depends on the willingness of men and women to make the sacrifices necessary to keep our country free. Whereas the Oklahoma State Legislature wishes to recognize Lindrith Tugger Palmer, a true American hero who has served his country with dignity and honor in the U.S. Navy. And whereas it is with a profound sense of respect, admiration, and pride that on this Veterans Day, November 11th, 2020, the great state of Oklahoma honors Lindrith Tugger Palmer and his family by extending our gratitude and appreciation for his military service. Now therefore, pursuant to the motion of Senator Roland Peterson, Representative Chad Caldwell, Representative Carl Newton, Representative Denise Cross-Whitehaven, and Governor Kevin J. Stitt, the legislature of the great state of Oklahoma extends to Lindrith Tugger Palmer sincere appreciation and directs that this citation can be presented. Lindrith, congratulations.
We will now have a video from the governor of the great state of Oklahoma, Kevin Stitt.
Good evening. Governor Kevin Stitt here. I wanted to thank you for coming out tonight for this Legacy Award ceremony. Incredible heroes are being honored tonight. I wish I could be there with you in person and see all my friends in Enid. The stories of the Oklahomans being recognized will inspire us for generations. From service in World War II, in Vietnam, here on the home front, and everywhere in between, I thank tonight's honorees and all of our veterans for their sacrifice. I also want to recognize the families of our veterans. My son recently joined the Oklahoma National Guard, and as governor, I will support and honor our military and our veterans every step of the way. Thank you again for coming tonight. To our veterans, thank you for everything you've done to protect and defend our freedom. May God bless you, and God bless the great state of Oklahoma.
Thank you, Governor Stitt, for remembering our veterans and honorees here this evening. Isn't it great to be in Enid, Oklahoma tonight? Thank you, everyone, for attending. 57 million veterans, and we honor 7 of them here tonight. 57 million since they started keeping track of that. So, congratulations again to you winners tonight of these Legacy Awards. Thank you for your service. Thank all you military, everybody that served. Thank you. I'd like to leave you with these parting thoughts. We as Oklahomans must lead by example and keep all of our promises to the men and women who have served. When they swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, they made a commitment to all of us. And at the same time, we as a nation incurred a sacred obligation to them upon their return home to heal their wounds, to rebuild their lives, and to care for their survivors. They pledged unwavering support and committed themselves to a life of service, no matter the time, location, or circumstances, and no matter the sacrifice. These brave servicemen understood the risk, and the love of their country outweighed any fear or personal harm. They offered themselves on the altar of patriotism for the nation they loved. The legacy these veterans leave is more than just a memory of time served. These brave men and women gave us a rich inheritance of military service, a legacy that we should pass down from generation to generation. With that, we thank you for attending our services this evening, and Kyle Woodring will play an original song entitled Freedom Bells.